Hello everybody, welcome to another deck profile from Great Card Fighters. Our first starter is Captain Night Kid. When rolled upon, draw a card. This is for the new granblue set. So let's get started with the grade 3s. For our first grade 3, we have Icy Prison Necromancer, Cocytus. His skill is that during your turn, if your drop zone has 10 or more, he gets plus 10,000. If you have 20 or more, plus 20,000 and a crit. Secondary skill is Counterblast 1, Mill 4, and how many grade 3s are in your soul, you call that. That many grade 3s plus 2 cards. So if he's your first ride, you just call 2 cards. If you rode again over him from a grade 3, then you're allowed to call 3 cards. Our secondary grade 3 is our finisher, Violence Flanger. His skill is Act, Soul Blast at grade 3, and discard as many cards as you want from your hand. Then he gains plus 5,000. Your opponents cannot guard with those grades, and no Sentinels. He's a great finisher. I advise running him at 2, just in case one goes to the damage zone. Next is our big beat stick of the deck. Dragon Undead, Skull Dragon. This is a card that, for as many cards as in your drop zone, he gains plus 2k. You cannot call him to rearguard from your hand, but in a dire situation you can ride him. I advise him just being a beat stick, to be honest. And our final grade 3 is 1 copy of Baskirk. He's a card if you have 10 or more in drop zone, he gains plus 5k and a crit. Counterblast 1, Soul Blast 1. Choose a card from your drop zone, call it, he gains plus 5,000 multiplied by the grade of that unit. I think he's a great card, especially if you're running low on deck due to Cocytus' skill. So he prevents you from decking out too fast. Moving on to the grade 2s is 4 copies of Storm Ride Ghost Ship. From hand, he cannot be called to rearguard. His skill is that when he attacks a Vanguard, he gains plus 15,000. He retires, and then you draw a card. Great for early game pressure. Putting him on Protect 2. He becomes a monster even early game. Next grade 2, 3 copies of Greed Shade. If you have 10 or more in drop zone, he gains plus 4k. When he's placed, mill 2, choose one that you don't want in your drop zone, add it back to your hand. Great card, great recycling. Because we all know granblue has a tendency of milling their triggers. And our final grade 3, 3 copies of Captain Night Mist. Night Mist skill is Counterblast 1. Call a grade 1 to your rearguard unless you have 10 or more in drop. Then you can call whatever you want. It's a great card, and it does very well when it comes to recycling your units. Next is 4 copies of Ripple Banshee. Ripple Banshee's skill is that when she's placed from drop zone, she gains plus 4,000, Soul Blast 1, and draw a card. That is one of the most useful skills in this deck, especially early game, because granblue doesn't really want to run draw triggers. So that's a good supplementary card, making the deck all around a really good deck. Next is something that I found to be really good in this deck, but I haven't seen too many people that run it anymore. Dancing Cutlass. He's your big counter charger. If one of him is in the drop zone, if you have 2 in the drop zone, bind 1, call 1, counter charge 1. So early game, you want to get at least 2 of them in the drop zone. Then when you need those counter blasts, you use them. And he fills up a rear guard, allowing you to not have to waste too much resource getting more cards. And next is our primary right target. 3 copies of Dandy Guy Romario. If he is rode upon, counterblast 1, choose a card from your hand, put it into your soul, mill 3, and get 1 back to your hand. Then, if you have 10 or more in drop zone, he gains plus 4,000, so he's a 12k booster as soon as you hit 10 and drop. Great pressure card. You can even call him on a couple Protect 2 markers if you don't have any grade 2s or you're running out of resources. Next is our final grade 1, Dolph the Ghosty. He's our 2 grade 1 perfect guards. His skill is obviously the Sentinel skill. That when he's placed, discard a card from your hand, and a unit cannot be hit until the end of the battle. His secondary skill is that when he is placed on Vanguard, draw a card, and discard a card from your hand. To supplement that, I do run 2 copies of Gus Jin, the Draw PG. And then I run 4 heals, and 10 crit. This is a very high pressure deck. You gain a lot of power, you put crits on that, and your opponent's done. So far, as long as I've been using this deck has been undefeated. And you do want to run both of the Protect 1 and Protect 2. So if you're ever going into a Protect versus Protect matchup or a Force versus Protect matchup, you definitely want to go into your Protect 1s. But if you're forced to go into an Excel to Protect matchup, you want to hit into your Protect 2s. Because Protect 1 makes you drop 2 every time you use it. Protect 2 doesn't. So you get to conserve more cards in hand, and you get to weather out the storm of their multi-attacks. Well, leave a comment, like, and subscribe, and we'll see you next time. Bye.